Welcome to part 2 of Lesson 4.6. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add the functionality to add and edit an emoji. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add an add button to the navigation bar, which will go ahead and present a new view controller, which users can input the properties of their addition. And we can also use the same view controller to permit emoji editing. So this is the perfect case for a static table view, so we know exactly what we're going to be displaying in the static table view. They're great for forms, settings, or anything where the number of rows doesn't change. So in our emoji directory, our static table view will contain 4 cells, each with a text field to allow input and editing. So the one thing we want to remember is we use a table view controller, but it should not implement the data source protocol. So we're going to be using a viewDidLoad method to populate the table's views data. So what we want to do is we want to remember to go ahead and delete the data source protocol from the actual file that we go ahead, the table view controller that we create. So let's get started on implementing this. So let me just go ahead and minimize the book. So let me get into the main storyboard. So in order to do this, what we need to do is we need to add another navigation controller along with the table view to our scene. So I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this quite a bit. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a navigation controller, and I will drop that in to our scene right here. So now we have the second navigation controller in this table view is where we're going to go ahead and include our static view for it. So next we're going to go ahead and add a button bar to our list table view scene. So let me just go ahead and expand that a little bit. And what we're going to do is it's going to be set the system type to add. So let me go ahead and click on button bar. And I will go ahead and drag that over. And what we need to do is we need to go ahead and set it to an add. So now we'll get our little plus sign on there. And then what we want to do next is we want to create a modal presentation segue from the bar button item to our new navigation controller. So we'll just go ahead and control click on that plus. And we want to present it modally, so I'll click on that to present it modally. And the other thing I want to do is I want to change the identifier of it. So this is going to be for our add button. So I will just go ahead and add in an identifier of add emoji. Okay, and then the next thing we need to do is we need to create a second modal presentation segue to the navigation controller to set its identifier to edit emoji. So we need to drag that from our actual emoji cell. So I'm going to go ahead and select it up above and just do a control drag down. And again, it's going to be present modally. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and basically go in and select the second one. I've set the identifier for the first one. The second one is going to be edit emoji. So I want to make sure I get those correct. They're on the correct and then we have that set up. So since tapping a cell performs a segue, we want to remove our implementation of table view from the emoji table view controller that did select row at. So we need to go into our emoji table view controller, and what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and did select row at. We will go ahead and remove that implementation by deleting it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build and run our app, and we should be able to click the add button and see our new table view. However, you won't be able to dismiss it until later in this lesson. So let's go ahead and do that next. And then if I click on the plus, it brings up my new table view. So that looks like it's working correctly right now. So let me just go ahead and close that. Okay, so what we're going to do next is in our new table view controller scene, we're going to select our table view. And what we're going to do is we're going to go in our attributes inspector and change the content to static cells. So after we've changed that to static cells, we can build our static table view. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and adjust the number of sections to 4. So let me go ahead and add 4 sections. And what I want to do next is there's just going to be one table view cell per section. So I'm just going to go in and delete the excess table view cells out of each one of the 4 sections that I added. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've updated that. The other thing we want to do is in our table view, we want to go ahead and adjust the style to grouped. Okay, so after we've done that, we're going to update the section information. So I'll just click on section 1. And what we're going to go ahead and call that is symbol. And then I'll click on section 2. And what we're going to call that is name. Section 3 is going to be description. And then section 4 is going to be updated to usage. Okay, so I've updated that section information. And now what we're going to do next is we need to pass data to our static table view. So what we're going to do is we're going to go define a new class called Add Edit Emoji Table View Controller. So let me go ahead and click on Define My New Class. And we want a new file. It's going to be a Cocoa Touch file. And we want to make sure we update this back to a UI table view controller. And the name of it is going to be Add Edit Emoji Table View Controller. So I'll go ahead and click on Next. And then I'll click on Create. Okay, so I've added that in. The next thing I want to do is I don't want to forget, I want to go ahead and delete the data source information. So I'll delete the number of rows and section, number of sections, and the cell for row at. And then finally, I'm going to go back into my main storyboard, and I will go ahead and click on my controller for my table view controller. And what I want to do is I want to set that to my add edit table view controller. So now that class will control that scene. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go into the controller file that we just created, and we're going to go ahead and add a property to it, and it's just going to be var emoji, and it'll be optional because we may be passing in an emoji, or we may not be if we're going to add an emoji. So after I've done that, I can go in and into my emoji table view controller, and I can go ahead and write the code for my prepare. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pause the video, enter the code, and then we can talk about the code. Okay, so I've added the code for my prepare segue. So if the segue identifier is edit emoji, that means that we're going to edit a current existing emoji, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be passing the necessary information. We're going to go ahead and let our emoji equal to the emoji that was selected, and then what we need to do is we need to cast down our add edit emoji table view controller, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pass that emoji information into the property that we've added to our add edit emoji table view controller. So that'll pass the information if we want to go ahead and edit it. So what we need to do is we need to go back into our add edit table view controller. And the first thing we want to do is the viewDidLoad method will check to see if the emoji has a value. If it does, then you're editing an existing emoji. If the property is null, then the static table view controller was modally presented to create a new emoji. So in order to do that, we need to go ahead back into our main storyboard, and we need to create outlets. So let me go ahead, click on my outlet. Let me just expand this a little bit here. So I'm in my add emoji table view. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create several outlets. But before we do that, I need to go back into my root view controller. So let me just go ahead and close that. And the thing we've not done yet is we need to go into and add some additional information into our content view. So what we need to do is we need to go in and add text fields into our content view that we can go ahead and have the user enter the information. So that's a step I forgot to do, so let me just go ahead and do that really quick. So we need a text field, so we'll just drop it into the first one, and then we will go ahead and set our constraints. Add my 4 constraints. We'll go ahead, make sure in my next content view, we'll add a text field into there. I'll go in, add my 4 constraints. Go into my description. Go ahead, add my next text field. Go in, add my 4 constraints. And then finally, I need to go into my last content view, add a text field, and then add my 4 constraints. Okay, so now I think I have everything correct. So now we can go back in and we can go ahead and actually add those outlets. So let me go ahead, get back into it, and then I want to go from my first text field. We'll do a control down and we're going to add an outlet in. So it's going to be an outlet. For the first one, it'll be our symbol. Text field. Go ahead, connect. I'm going to add some more white space. We'll make sure it's my name next. And what it's going to be is the name text field. We'll connect. The next one will be for our description text field. We will connect. And then finally, we want to do it for our usage text field. Okay, so I've added my outlets. So now I am ready to go ahead and write the code in my viewDidLoad method. So what we're going to do in this viewDidLoad, let me just delete the rest of the information out of there. We're going to do an if let our emoji equals to an existing emoji. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and populate the field. So let me go ahead and pause the video here and then and add that code. Okay, so what I've gone through, I've added the code here. So we're checking to see if an emoji actually has information in it. It can be either be an actual emoji object, or it could be nil. And then what we're doing, if it's not nil, we're going ahead and we're populating those text fields with the information properties from our emoji that gets passed in. So what we're going to do next in part 3 of the video is we're going to add some action buttons with an unwind segue. We're going to update our save button, and we're going to implement the code to go ahead and save an emoji. So let me just go ahead and stop the video right now, and then we will come back in a few minutes with part number 3.